Welcome, everybody. If you have headed in this direction, you are once again in violation of jaywalking. That's right, you've arrived at Jubilee Street, a music podcast brought to you by myself, Jake Curtis, and my seminal co-host, Ian McCurtis. This week and every week, we bring you some new music, or we break down a new Nick Cave song that we've yet to cover on the podcast yet. So not quite new. Might not be new. It might be an older song. But as you can tell, I'm running out of breath. Ian, you want to tell the listeners what we're talking about this week? Which song?
We're talking about...
Ian just ran a mile.
I just ran 1/10 of a mile and I'm really out of shape. We're talking about...
Well, you are wearing your spacesuit.
Breathless from Abattoir Blues' Lyre of Orpheus.
It's up in the morning, it's on the downs, and little white clouds like a gambling lambs. And I am breathless over you, and the red-breasted robin beats his wings as a throw.
So we decided, after our very successful, much listened to Boatman's Call residency over the past month, that we wanted to do another album that we hadn't really touched a lot of songs on yet. And we put it in the randomizer, and the randomizer was out of breath. So we didn't actually get a song from it. We were just like, oh, the randomizer's sending us a message. It's out of breath. Breathless. Abattoir Blues.
It was an advanced AI.
So that was my prepared bit for the podcast. I got nothing else. So Ian's going to fill up the next 25 to 30 minutes of air.
Yeah, so
time.
I was born in a hospital, and my early years could be described.
Holy crap, is that Simon Garfunkel coming in to
What?
play you talking about your life story?
I was going to tell my whole life story and hope that took up 25 minutes.
What if you told your life story and then Nick Cave walked in and he started singing the song as you created the story? Like he would just make the song and it'd be like it'd be like a 30-minute song all about your life.
I mean, that'd be amazing. I could die a happy man.
So speaking of dying a happy man, let's talk about Breathless. What's your first thoughts on this track?
So this is the second song on the Lyre of Orpheus on the second half of the double album. I think this album is kind of his ode to Van Morrison.
Oh, I like that.
A lot of these songs got that vibe. This song really has that vibe.
Have you listened to, I think the record's called Moondance?
So when we worked at the record store together, our boss loved Van Morrison, and I heard him a lot. I don't know specifically what records I've heard.
Yeah, Moondance. I would not have made that comparison because Van Morrison is still very kind of new to me, but there's a song called Glad Tidings, and then obviously there's what else is it? There's stuff like Brown Eyed Girl. This song in particular has a very similar feeling to those kind of songs. But Moondance is a good Van Morrison record. I remember listening to that a couple of times through a few months back. Good shit. After I finished The Sopranos.
There's a couple songs later on this album. There's a song called Supernaturally that I have seen over and over again. People say it's a Van Morrison homage. I don't know if Nick has explicitly said it, but that feeling is kind of on this whole album and this song a lot. And I think, so a lot of this album, this half of it is like very mythologically based. Mm-hmm. I don't know if this song really follows that narrative too much. I mean, it doesn't take you out of it, but I think this is just like a pretty straightforward love song, right? What do you think?
I would describe this song as feel good.
Yeah, and honestly, there's not a ton of feel-good Nick Cave songs.
No, none really. And this is one of the only ones.
So this album has some happier ones. That's kind of why we thought it'd be a good Valentine's month album to do, because there's some happy songs, and you don't get a lot of happy Nick Cave songs, but you get a few on this album.
Did you watch the video for this? Have you seen it?
No, fuck, man. He makes a music video for everything. I didn't know there was one.
I looked it up because because of that exact sentiment, because it seems like there's a video for every one of the songs.
Are they making like 6 music videos per album? It's crazy.
Something I like about their music videos, obviously they've changed a bit over time, but it's almost always pretty minimalist in that like it's usually just like them in a studio or on a set performing the song, but it's probably overdubbed, but in this one, that's kind of what they do. They're in like a studio room, kind of jamming out, and it has this very like kind of intimate quality.
Oh, it's got this funny like Disney cartoony thing at the beginning.
Yeah, well, as you watch the video, the little like kind of creepy digitized woodland creatures, a couple of them look like Thumper from Bambi. They kind of like show up in the studio and start dancing along with them, and it reminded me a lot of, do you remember that Family Guy episode where it's a long aside where they're like, hey Peter, do you remember when you like got turned into when we had like got turned into Walt Disney or something? And there's like a whole section where they all get Disneyfied, and it made me think of like what would happen if Nick Cave like showed up in like Who Framed Roger Rabbit or something like that.
Well, he's in, if you remember, he's in Shrek 2 playing the piano, or he's uncredited.
So we have, it is on record that he was at one point a digital cartoon.
This animation, so what is this, from like 2003, 2004?
It feels very 2003.
I feel like this is the same studio that made the AFI Girls Not Grey music video. You remember that
It'd
animation?
be worth looking up.
It looks just like the animation in the AFI music video.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very of its time.
It only really fits the lyrics in so much that like he's kind of trying to invoke an image of like the sort of like quintessential like babbling brook, like peacefulness, and how like beauty can take your breath away. And I think like all the woodland creatures showing up in the video, even though they're a little creepy looking, which I don't know if that's purposeful or just like
this is a great music video.
It is a good music video, isn't it?
It's not what I expected at all when you said there was a music video.
And then it fits because there's that whole line where it's like the fox chases the rabbit round, the rabbit hides beneath the ground, for he is defenseless without you. The sky of daytime dies away, and all the earthlings they stop to play, for we are all breathless without you. And I think it's just a great sentiment of like, it can be really any stage of love or relationships, marriage, that kind of thing, but it's those moments where you catch yourself like not like being in the moment, like you're being in the moment and not like overthinking anything. And I think that's why it's really funny at the end where the animals kind of just show up in the studio, because I think there's like kind of a supernatural quality to love in that way, where it exists in this plane where you can't really explain it. It's like what's so frustrating about like, I'm trying to like seriously write scripts right now, and I've been working on this one the last month or so, and I definitely could have finished it more quickly, but I'm trying my best. I'm doing better. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm getting at is that it's hard to evoke emotion in any kind of writing in the way that like we feel it, like how it feels to us individually about certain moments in our lives. We might never be able to like fully express, even to someone that was there with us. It's like they have their own experience too. So yeah, I think it worked. The visuals of that video worked well for me with the song and the lyrics.
Yeah, I was thinking of so much about like how just I don't mean me and you, I just mean like humanity, how we express love is like not being able to, because we use words like breathless, helpless, speechless,
right,
restless. It's always like we're overcome with emotion and just don't even know how to get it out.
Yeah, I always think like thank God for thesauruses, or else we'd be fucked.
Thesaurus-I, Jake.
Thesaurus-I.
So I am seeing on Genius that some of these little lines are references to Orpheus, and how do you say his wife's name? Eurydice? Is that right?
Euripides?
Eurydice?
Let me look it up.
But I wouldn't have known that. It's not as direct as a lot of the other songs, the mythology stuff, but I guess there are some mythological references.
I didn't upon my listening to it, I did not think about the fact that there's that whole through line of the concept with Orpheus. But yeah, I see that here. Oh, Eurydice, I think is how you say it.
Eurydice, yeah.
Eurydice, yeah.
Jake, my favorite line, probably everyone's favorite line because it's like the only one that really stands out to me. The fishes leap up to take a look, for they are breathless over you.
That's a good one, isn't it?
Because obviously, Jake, I don't know if you know this, but if you take a fish out of water, they would be breathless.
I think my brain just wrinkled.
A very clever little line there, Mr. Cave.
It's interesting, too, if you really look at how grim that image is, it makes you wonder if, this song is as lighthearted as you thought going into it, you know?
Yeah, if you actually picture it, a bunch of fish breathless, then that's a horrible image.
Yeah, they get that weird glassy eye thing because they're starting to lose oxygen. No, you're right. That's a great line. I don't know, not to go away from the lyrics. I don't think there's too much more to dissect there, but I just love how he performs this song. What about you?
Yeah, I was thinking that
it just feels so fun, more fun than other songs that he's done.
I was wondering if this song wasn't Nick Cave, would I like it? And I feel like probably not. You know, some artists, because you like that artist, you like the song, but, if this was a song by someone else, I think I would just kind of dismiss it as being kind of ham-fisted and cheesy, but because I love Nick Cave and we don't get this side of him very often, I'm glad to have it.
I know what you mean. I just loved how I got the shattered bones here in you. You know, it has he did some stuff that I'd never heard him do before, which I don't know. I've had a lot of fun listening to this, and I think there's another track on here. This was sort of that period of time where when they were in the studio, Nick and Warren would kind of just play with sounds, and Breathless kind of has that weird little sound effect in the beginning. It's I think it's probably violin, right?
I think so, yeah. I think you got mostly violin and flute kind of carrying the song.
But there were moments where I think he was Warren was playing these instruments. I don't know if I can't remember which song it was in particular, but I remember there being moments where on another song we did, I think it's from this album, where he just kind of records something on a whim. It might, you know what? I'm thinking it's probably on Ghosteen, now that I think about it. But I like the sounds of this song. I think this song is one of the best sounding Nick Cave songs, as far as it feels very full. It hits where it's supposed to. I like that it's it still kind of has that, I guess at this point, kind of trademark lack of a chorus, but it feels like it has a chorus. It's more structured than other songs that they've done.
It's got a chorus, right? The still your hands and still your heart.
Oh, right. See, that's okay. I'll redact that. But I guess what I'm saying is that I will keep what I said in that I think that this is more formulaic than anything that they've done previously.
And yeah, with the flute, I just can't get the Van Morrison thing out of my head. It just has this
absolutely
Irish, Scottish kind of...
The flute, that's what I'm trying to fucking say, yeah.
This kind of vibe. It doesn't sound like Irish jig music, obviously, but when I think of pop, British and Irish pop from the 60s and 70s, it's got this vibe. This is very happy.
Even that
celebratory
works really well for me because it's so squeaky and raw. I really like how it sounds.
It's tough to make. This is kind of off topic, a little on topic. It's tough to make a flute work because it's you got Gil Scott Heron and that's it.
I found this cool little story on Genius about that slightly out of tune flute. I'm glad you said that because I couldn't pinpoint what the instrument was because it's slightly out of tune. It could be a saxophone or a different kind of reed instrument, but flute makes sense.
Flutes don't have reeds.
But originally the intro was longer, apparently, as it could be heard on the Dusseldorf live version from the Abattoir Blues tour. And apparently Nick said in an interview that the radio would only play Breathless if they took the out-of-tune flute part out. And then I guess they said they would take it off. And then he said, and both me and Warren have never, he sighs, it's these little things where you've kind of caved in. You cave in, he nods. It's those moments of weakness. He admits that they come back to you, they make no fucking difference anyway, they come back to haunt you. So I guess it's like something they were not proud of when it got radio play. And yes, you're correct. Flutes don't have reeds, but I thought it could have been like a clarinet or something like that. Or I don't know. I don't know what I thought it was.
That's the dumb shit that you remember your whole life. He's always going to remember that about this song, even though no one else is ever going to care.
That's how it always is as the artist, right? Like the whole thing about Radiohead is they're remembered for hating Creep, even though that's the song that made them huge.
Yeah, I've heard there's all kinds of like different like rules. I've heard that if the vocals don't come in within 30 seconds, radio's not going to play it. There's like all kinds of different like little formulas they want your song to have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's why it's so cool that Louisville has such a strong, and other places too, but there's like a strong like presence for like more independent radio. And even with streaming services, like music like that gets more airplay or it's more available. But yeah, no, I'm surprised that they would even ask that, considering how big of a figure Nick is. Like, if he's got a new song coming out, you put it on the radio regardless.
Yeah, just do a radio edit yourself. People do that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad they kept it how it's originally supposed to be on the on that live album. I bet that was cool to see. This would be a great song to see live too. Man, I can't shake that Van Morrison reference. That's like very apt. It didn't occur to me, but that fits very well with the sound of this song.
I saw on some message boards that this song was like shown up in the mid 90s, and apparently he had performed it live with Kylie Minogue, but I couldn't find any videos of it. But I guess the song was around for a while before this album.
Interesting what songs show up on records that, might have been recorded years later.
Yeah, we always, we and everyone else too, like, does this kind of thing. Like, whenever a new album comes out, we, like, cover it in the moment. But, yeah, bands do that where, like, they'll finally put out a song they've had for, like, 10 years. But you don't really ever think of it that way.
I think there's a band we're going to talk about after this episode that did something like that for their new album.
I think there is, Jake Curtis.
Let's see. Sorry, I'm finding that my fan might be getting picked up by my mic, so I wanted to fix it really quick.
Oh, keep going. I think we are learning with this episode that it's harder. I think we've alluded to this before. It's harder to talk about happy things. Like, I really like this song, but because it's a happy song, I don't have a ton, critically to bring to the table because it's just a feel-good pop song.
Yeah, I think this is probably one of those cave songs or Bad Seed songs that gets kind of less attention because, second song on the record, I think, like, Easy Money is on this same album side, and I think Easy Money is, like, a better song. But I don't know. I think this was a nice palate cleanser from Boatman's Call over the last 4 weeks because all the Boatman's Call songs are so sad and, like, he's really going through something. Whereas here, this is kind of more like you're getting your Nick Cave essentials here. You get your kind of gruesome, like, gothic imagery with, like, the fish leaping out of water. But it's, he's talking about how much you can love somebody and be surrounded by beauty, but if you don't have that person that you love, it doesn't matter. Like, you might as well be standing in the middle of a volcano or in the middle of, like, a atomic storm or something like that or atomic, you know what I'm saying? Because you're just deflated without the person that you love, which I think is a cool, like, a relatable sentiment, Like, you could be in the best place ever. Like, imagine going to Disneyland and asking someone to propose to you, and then you're, like, in the middle of Magic Kingdom, and they're like, yeah, sorry, it's just I don't feel that way about you. And that's where you find out that the person that you thought loved you and would be with you forever is no longer no longer feels that way about you. And then you have to go ride, like, Space Mountain 10 times and try to get the value of your ticket at least.
This song also, it fits really well in the placement. I don't know if you've heard the song that comes before this, the Titular Lyre of Orpheus, but it's like a very perverse song about Orpheus having this lyre, and like when he plays the music, it kills people, and it's very gruesome, and like eyeballs are popping out of skulls and blood everywhere.
Oh, that's cool.
So then this song immediately follows it, and it's like, you said palate cleanser. It's like the ultimate palate cleanser. It's like the complete opposite. Radio-friendly, happy song.
Speaking of like mythical figures, what mythical figure would you like to see the Bad Seeds do an album on?
Well, wouldn't the first thing come to mind when you think of Nick Cave is like Loki? He's like God of Mischief.
That's a good one. Not to mention he looks like the Marvel Cinematic Universe Loki a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes he's good, sometimes he's bad. Just kind of chaotic figure. I'm not super well versed on mythology, to be honest.
Loki's a good answer. I would like to see them do a Caligula album.
What's Caligula?
So it's I think I believe it was Sartre. No, let me check. He's a figure that's like really connected to like sort of like a orgy, very violent kind of thing. I don't know. I always think of the passages of Caligula that I read back in the day. So let's check the Wikipedia. So Caligula was the third Roman emperor ruling from 37 to 41. He was the son of Germanicus and Agrippina the Elder. He was the first. He was born into the first ruling family of the Roman Empire. So let's find his legacy. The facts and circumstances of Caligula's reign are mostly lost to history. Only sources contemporary with Caligula have survived in the works of Philo and Seneca. Keep scrolling here. Oh, shoot. Maybe I'm reading the wrong history here. Anyway, Caligula is who I would want to see them do a record about. I think it would be really cool.
Okay, so now that I had a little time to think about it, do you know the muses, like in Greek mythology?
Yes.
So this isn't straight up like classical mythology, but there's an issue of the Sandman comic book by Neil Gaiman where this guy kidnaps one of the muses, Calliope. I don't know how you say her name, and
I know what you're saying.
keeps her chained up like in his attic.
Yeah.
To gain inspiration, and he becomes like a world famous author, but he needs to have this muse trapped in his house to make great art. And his whole career is like his whole life is a lie, but he can't like let her go free, and he's just holding her hostage. It's super dark. I think that'd be right up Nick Cave's alley.
That'd be a good one. I found what I was looking for Caligula. So there's a play that Albert Camus wrote in 1938, and it's reported as an existentialist piece, which is pretty on par for him, but it depicts Caligula, who's torn by the death of Drusilla, his sister and lover. Caligula eventually deliberately manipulates his own assassination. He was a seemingly kind prince who realizes upon the death of Drusilla that men die and they are not happy. He becomes obsessed by the quest for the absolute and poisoned by contempt and horror. He tries to exercise through murder and systematic perversion of all values a freedom which he discovers in the end is not truly freedom. He takes the word of those around him. He forces them to logic. He levels all around him by force of his refusal and by the rage of destruction which drives his passion for life. Yeah, I think Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds could do a cool record about this guy.
Mythology's so fucking crazy. I need to check that out because I love obviously everyone knows the Camus Sisyphus thing. I love his sort of, that's a really neat idea to like recontextualize mythology to fit a philosophy you have. I think that's brilliant. I would love to read that.
It'd also be cool to see like if they ever remade the Marquis de Sade, 100 Days of Sodom. It'd be cool if Warren and Nick did the score for that movie. I don't think they'll ever remake that movie though.
Oh, and speaking of that, I guess we're probably close to wrapping up here. Andrew Dominic, it was announced is has already made a new documentary about Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds that's going to cover Ghosteen and Carnage.
Don't worry, listeners. We're definitely going to be covering that on the podcast, so don't you
Andrew
worry.
Dominic, we got that Marilyn Monroe movie about to come out that Nick Cave scored that Andrew Dominic made. And then we're going to have this documentary.
You said. Have a lot of documentaries and movies to watch this year for the pod, you know?
Yeah, then there's the wildlife documentary that we need to get an American release on.
Once we can watch that, we'll get caught up and we'll do a quickie on that one. But Ian, you want me to go ahead and bring us home, take us on down Jubilee Street?
Yeah, let's do it. This was Breathless, just a fun little romp through mythology, a romp through love, a romp through the rose bush.
If you liked the romp through the rose bush here, we've probably got right under 100 other romps you can go listen to on Spotify and Apple Music. You can find us wherever you find good podcast services. If you listen to us on Spotify, you can follow us there. You can like our podcast. I believe you can leave us a rating. Give us a good, nice 5-star rating. Same goes for Apple Podcasts. You can like, rate, subscribe. We'd love to get a review from you on there. 5 stars only. You can email us to our Jubilee Street mailbag at jubileestreetpod@gmail.com. We've got an Instagram, which is pretty much the exact same, at Jubilee Street Pod. We've got our link tree in our bio there that goes to all our important links. So if you can't find us on Facebook or you can't find us on YouTube, there's always a link on our Instagram where it'll kind of take you to everything. And we've got all kinds of cool links in there. It's been a while since we put a video up, but I'm sure we might try to put something together later on this year and try to do another video. So yeah, check us out there. Check us out on the social medias, and we'll see you next time.
Adios, everybody. Good night.
A little bit of Spanish there on the end, huh?
Still your soul, still your mind, for still the fire of our love is true, and I am a breathless without